We're about to begin the services for Mrs. Juliette L Richman. Just as a gentle reminder, those of you that are here at the cemetery, if you have a cell phone with you, please place it in the silent mode or turn it off completely. That would be appreciated. We also welcome all of you viewing online, everyone at the Montgomery Place and others. The Shiva will be observed at the Richmond residence today from 1 p.m. to 7 p.m. That address is 4113 North Greenview Avenue in Chicago. It's listed in the folders that you received today and also on our website. And then at Montgomery Place on Friday from 5 p.m. to 7 p.m. Montgomery Place is 5550 South Shore Drive in Chicago. The services this morning will be conducted by Rabbi Barry Schechter.
Mizmor David Adonai mi Yaakov Yolecha mi Yishkon v'har kodshecha holech tamim ufoil tzedek ודובר אמת בלבבו, לא רגל על לשונו, לא עשה לרעהו רע, וחרפה לא נשא על קרובו. נבזה בעיניו נמאס, ואת ירא אדוני יכבד, משפע להרע ולא יאמיר, כספו לא נתן בנשך, ושוחד הנקי לא לקח. על זה יעלה לא ימות לעולם. God, who may abide in your house, who may dwell in your holy mountain, those who are upright, who do justly, who speak the truth within their hearts, who do not slander others, or wrong them, or bring shame upon them, who give their word and come what may do not retract, who do not exploit others. Those who live in this way shall never be shaken. Dear friends, we're here for a sad and difficult occasion to say goodbye, which is the most difficult thing we can ever do, really, but also to pay tribute and to honor the memory and to celebrate the life of Julie Richman, the daughter of Pearl and Max, who's gone to her eternal rest at the age of 91, and leaves behind a family and friends who loved her very, very dearly. First, I should mention her life's partner, her husband Phil, who is here, of course, and the children, Pamela and her Samuel, Gail and her Thomas, Celia and her Paco, and grandchildren, Talia and her Brett, Mira and her Danny, Ariella and her James, William and his Crystal, Adam and his Lula, Francisco, Tito and his Jenna and Fiona. And a great-grandchild, that's Gisela? Take a bow. I should also mention her late brother, Herbert, and Linda, who is live with us. And we're going to begin by hearing from the family. The ones I know who are going to speak, I think, are Ariella and Fiona. And so if you'd like to come forward. Yes?
Okay.
So you'll go first.
Yes. Before I keep crying more. Thanks everyone for coming today. I think that you really would have liked this. Thanks, Rabbi. I think Grandma really would have liked having a British rabbi. I don't know why. I think that she really would have liked it. She would have thought it was really classy. So thank you for that. So my Grandma Julie was an amazing storyteller. And when she was younger than I am now, she took a public speaking class. And whenever anyone would tell her how amazing she was at telling stories, like bedtime, plot synopses, historical anecdotes, she would credit her ability to that class. But there was something magical about the way that she could weave an intricate tale from the most banal of stories that went beyond anything that could be contained in a curriculum. The day after she died, my sister Ariel found her blog, and as I was reading this amazing post that she had written in like 2009 or something about a FedEx delivery that went like horribly wrong, and there are all this like thrilling tale about this FedEx delivery, and then she tried to send back the computer because there was this like hissing noise that wouldn't stop, and there's this woman, this clerk at FedEx that named, and she completely messed up, and then there was this other woman in Tennessee named Gail Evans, and Grandma really didn't like her. She hated Gail Evans. Gail Evans was not doing her job. But it was an amazing story, and I couldn't stop laughing and then crying like I'm doing right now, and it just, really says something about how amazing of a storyteller she was. And I'm not nearly as good as she was, but I'm going to try. She used to pick me up once a week from elementary school, and we'd go on all sorts of adventures. We would go to the Field Museum, where Grandma Julie would pull out this like decades-old piece of paper that granted us entry because Grandpa filled out a lifetime membership, and even though he was dead for like 10 years, we would still get in with his lifetime entry pass. And we would go in and we would march on in together. And if you guys knew Grandma Julie, you knew what I mean when I say she would march in, and I would go in alongside her. I was like, I'm a child, but we were a really odd couple, but we had a lot of fun. And her favorite part of the Field Museum was the ancient Chinese art section, and we would look at the art and the foot binding slippers, and I know that she really liked that. And mine was the ancient Egypt exhibit and the dinosaurs, and the ancient Egypt exhibit cost more extra, and dinosaurs didn't, and we would go to both, and that was really special. And we'd make sure to see all three exhibits, and I would usually tire out like way before her, and I'd maybe like get really annoying and tired, but we would keep going until we had seen it all. And it didn't matter how many times she had seen the exhibit or how many times I had, we would both want to do it over and over and over again. We'd keep going. And then in the same blog, there's a post written in 2014, and Grandma Julie wrote, "My mother, who died at age 101, often said in her last few years, everything is past. And I would tell her that there were events and experiences that were yet to happen. I think of that sentiment now whenever I experience anything new in my life. It reminds me to savor each experience as it happens." In her last year, Grandma Julie traveled to 4 weddings. When I saw her in New York for Mira's wedding, who couldn't be here today, she told me that she had just tried her first ever pastrami sandwich, which was different from corned beef, because corned beef was boiled and pastrami was smoked. And corned beef is salty and pastrami was not. Every time I saw her, she was always trying something new. She was taking online Harvard classes, or she was selecting movies for the film committee at Montgomery Place, or she was poetry writing, or she was parsley growing, and all kinds of stuff. But after when I was a kid, after we go to the Field Museum, we'd go back to her place on Park Place, and we'd make art together. And these are some of the memories I cherish the most with her. She made me feel like I could be anything I wanted to be. She encouraged me to dream, to be unique, and to be myself, which she always did throughout her entire life. I've always admired her so much. Sorry. She was a force, a badass, and never let anyone think for her or decide what she should be doing at any point in time. She was relentlessly committed to life and to learning, and she was also an endlessly loving grandmother. There are so many questions that I never got to ask her, and I can't really imagine her not being around anymore. A little over a year ago, an article came out in the Wall Street Journal, which she loved, about how young people use emojis differently than old people. Never one to be left behind by modernity. When she found out, Grandma Julie immediately adapted her emoji use. She would text me a unicorn emoji and a frog emoji because, this is a quote from a text that she sent to me, quote, "Young people use them differently than old people. A smiley is not a smiley, a heart means something else, etc., so I chose some different ones for my meaning. Unicorn means that I love you 100%, and smiley frog means that too, and it's also kind of cute." In her blog, Grandma Julie would always end on some snappy, smart, and funny one-liner. She was really smart, and she was really funny. I wish that she could have written this because I don't really know how to end. But I guess I'll say, Grandma, thank you for my family. I am inspired by you. I love you. And I'm going to miss you so much. Unicorn emoji, frog emoji.
Thank you, Fiona, for that wonderful, wonderful tribute. Ariella, do you want to comment?
That was really beautiful, Fiona. Mine is a little short, but going back to Grandma Julie being an amazing storyteller, she was, and she also had an amazing memory. So she was really good at reading us stories, like when we were little kids. She would read us from the Grimm's fairy tales, and just her voice was so comforting, and she had that accent, and we can't do it, but she could do it. We can only mock it. Not mock it, but her because, her hello. But she could recall so many moments from her life, and when we saw her over Thanksgiving, she told us that she could remember. We were talking about what our first memories were, and she said she can remember when she was maybe 1 or 2, and she remembers standing up in her crib, and we were like, is that possible? But she remembered it. And she was very proud of her heritage, her status as a lifelong Hyde Parker, her Jewishness, her artistic resume, and she was proud of her family. And I have a lot of memories of her just telling us stories of herself as a child, and going with her brother to buy half a loaf of rye bread with seeds from the corner store for 10 cents, or making herself a sandwich when she got home from school when she was a little girl. And I think she instilled in me a love of family history and our traditions. And in Jewish teaching, when someone dies, we say, may their memory be a blessing. And I think when she was alive, her memory was a blessing to everyone who knew her. And now it is up to us to keep her memory a blessing and carry on her legacy.
Thank you, Ariella, for those heartfelt words. Was there anyone else who wanted to speak? Yeah. Go ahead. You will succeed. Come on. I always get... Where's Pamela? I'm sorry.
Hello, everybody. So I'm going to try. Just a couple of things. My mom, as we know, is a wonderful storyteller, and I've been told I'm a pretty good storyteller, and I have to assume I got that from her. She was also such a good storyteller that she could make you believe things that may or may not be true at all. And I'm thinking, Celia, specifically of, and because I live in Oklahoma, a lot of the time I was just hearing her and I couldn't see her because we would talk on the phone every day. This was about, 10, 15 years ago, she called me, she said, I live by myself, and sometimes I don't talk to a single person all day, and I want to talk to at least one person, so either you have to call me once a day or you can work it out with your sisters, but somebody has to call me every day. And so I started calling her every single day. And so we have a lot of these conversations where I just hear her voice in my ear. But this is a recent conversation, was when she convinced the doorman of the Flamingo Hotel building in Chicago on the South Side that somebody had taken her cell phone and it was in the Boil and Shake restaurant that was in the bottom of that building. Now, she was very, very savvy technically. That's true. But sometimes the technology gets away from what really is going on. And so I think her phone wasn't really in the Boil and Shake. But we didn't know that. Nobody knew that. And Celia was with her, and can she verify that you really thought it was in the Boil and Shake? So they walked to the Boil and Shake, and they went into the Flamingo, and they talked to the manager, and they convinced him that they should go searching for it. And she and the manager, no, you went searching with the manager all around the grounds, looking for the cell phone, because they could see it. They could see it on another phone, that it was somewhere around. It was really in her bedroom, on her shelf. I mean, on the dresser. But that she had that passion of explaining and being so forthright, and I think we really believed it. Really believed it. I wanted to just tell a couple of other things, which is that, she was 90 is old, and sometime over the summer, when we had gone to Albuquerque already for Tito's wedding, and then we stayed and we gone to she'd been in LA for Talia's wedding, and then Miami, I think it was in Miami when we were there for Adam and Lula's wedding. She said, my dad told me that when you get to be 90, everything starts falling apart. And she'd felt fine, and now she was 90, and she said, I think I know what he meant. But we didn't believe any of that, right? We just didn't really believe it. And then she went on, and she got to New York, and she was able to be at Mira's wedding. We walked to Broadway. She said, I want to be able to stand on this corner of 40, whatever it was, and Broadway, and I took a smiling photo of her. And she did a lot of traveling. Here's one other short story about how inventive and persevering she was. We went, when she turned 80, she took all of us on a cruise. All of us who were at the time the people that were the all of us. So the grandchildren and her children and her sons-in-law. And in one of the places we visited, we were on a beach. And we went to a private, quiet beach because we didn't want to be at a touristy beach. But then, of course, if you're at a private beach, there's no bathrooms. And at some point, she said, I need to go to the bathroom. So we turned, and there were some people there, and we said, well, what do we do? And they said, oh, there's some bushes over there, and that's fine. So then we walked her. She was 80. We walked her up to the bushes, and then we held up a towel. This, I think, was Gail. We held up a towel. Are you doing okay, Mom? Are you okay back there? She said, I'm fine. I'm using my squats from Pilates. And that was how she did it. I love you, Mom. I think I have a lot of you in me now, and I will hold you in my heart forever. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Pamela. Thank you very much. Fiona, you mentioned how she would have liked to have an English rabbi. I have to make a confession. I knew that several days ago. I'm actually from Brooklyn. I've been working on this accent for 3 days now, and I finally perfected it. So it's taken a lot of effort, and I'm glad you're grateful. There are other things you said. You talked about adventure. You talked about how when she would pick you up, it was an adventure. And it strikes me that for all of you, your life with her was an adventure. Not just because she could tell wonderful stories. By the way, I think you said, who was it talking about Grimm's fairy tales? Yes. And you said if she managed to make those sound comforting, then this is the most extraordinary storyteller I've ever heard. And she's not very faithful to the intention of the author. They are the most frightening things you've ever seen. I would ban them for sure. I'm not surprised. I'm surprised in the world we live in now they haven't been banned. They will be, don't worry. But really, Grimm's fairy tale, oh my God. Anyway, this is an extraordinary achievement. The other thing you mentioned, and you told me when we spoke, because we had a lovely conversation on the phone, how tech savvy she was. And she was not young. You know, I've said often, most of the people I know who are, shall we say, of a certain age, advanced in age, if you just mention the word computer, I have seen people who have been told that they'll never walk again, and I say the word computer, and they run. They leave, they run away. And she was really, really savvy with this. This is incredible. Emoji, I can't do these emojis. I don't know the places they are. Anyway, you told me about her, and I'm telling you, by the way, things that you know, which is a very strange situation if you consider this, that at a funeral you have someone who is essentially a stranger, although I try to find out as much as possible about the person that we are praying for and we're speaking about. And I'm going to tell you what you already know. I mean, there's paradox. But the truth is this. If you have someone in your lives who is really, really wonderful, you need to hear about them again and again and again. In exactly the same way as you said, you went to the museum and you would see these, and you'd seen them before, but you wanted to see them again and again and again and again. And you can listen to a Beethoven symphony again and again and again and again. This notion that, well, I've done that, that's no. And especially in the world that we live in, to hear about good people is so important to restore our somewhat shattered faith in humanity. So that, I think, that may go partially to resolve this, as I say, this paradox of hearing again and again about what you know already, but we need to hear it again. So you told me about how she married young, and then had this wonderful, wonderful life with Phil, who himself was a remarkable person, and how she's lived for 24 years alone, but she's had you to call, and she's been busy sending emojis, so that's kept her busy. Hyde Park, she's a fixture of Hyde Park. I just spoke to a lady, I don't know, where are you? You would walk with her. You'd walk with her every day. All the time. There's something missing in your life now. You had something wonderful. Her artistry. I think she was an artist in life. She made an art out of life. But in the more restricted sense that we usually use the word, these extraordinary paintings, she has a studio, and then she's in one place in Pilsen, and then she has it here, and then just this last year, this enormous donation of her paintings, which are displayed in 2 places as part of the university. How she had worked and gone to night school, gone to the Art Institute, then later gets a Bachelor in Fine Arts and a Master's in Fine Arts. And how do I pronounce this? Pokemon Go, is that right? Do I say? It's an Asian word, is it? Thai word? No, it's okay. I know it's right. It's a strange thing. I'm looking at it written down here. And through that she meets all kinds of people, all ages of people. You told me a hospital resident said, oh, it's Juliette Richman. I know her from this strange word which I can barely pronounce. And she's an artist, as I said. There's this extraordinary art, this sense, this feel for not just an eye, a feel for colour and for design. She starts designing avant la parole. Before people were doing this, she's designing web pages for friends. Absolutely incredible. You also told me this sort of excited me that Pearl and Max, her parents, met at in Chicago at a Hungarian picnic. Can you imagine the foods that were served there? Just when I looked at the word Hungarian picnic, I got hungry. You told me, I asked you about, you had dobos torta, yes, palacinta, yes, chicken paprikash, yes. I'm trying to get you all hungry. Recipe, you have the recipe from Auntie Giza, right? After whom this young lady's named. What was it a recipe for? I've forgotten. A dobos torta, yes, of course. And also, I think Max, of course, her father was a wonderful, wonderful tailor. craftsman. I think some of you may be wearing clothes with some of the designs you told me about. Now, this is about her, but when we spoke, and you started telling me about the talents of the next generation and the next generation, and the art and the music and the, at the end of that conversation, I was sort of reeling with admiration. This wonderful, as you said, you said, Pamela, that you feel her in you, and I know all of you do, and some of the creativity and the talent obviously has been passed down and expanded upon, so that we have this unbelievable family. I see this word here that appeared in an article that I found online about her. Traversing in the wild, pair is the two people walking, but this verb marvels at nature, architecture, building interiors, campus art installations. Marvels. I love that word, marvels. To marvel at something. You know, when we're born, when we are little, we marvel at everything. We see everything. We see colors. We hear sounds. We smell. All our senses when we are little are alive. Watch a child. If they were, well, I can't talk to this beautiful young creature there. I can't. But if you could, would say, would express marvel and a kind of wonderful experience of being overwhelmed with all these new things, these sounds. Look there, can you hear the sounds of the birds? Which we don't notice, I just pointed out to you, but we don't notice these things. As we get older, our senses switch off. We've heard it before, we've seen it before, we smelled it before, we felt it before, we don't notice. But she retained so much of this, which enabled her to recreate and to build, to make things that reflected what she was aware of all the time. So of course life with her was an adventure. She was marveling at everything. In that sense, in that most important sense, she was like a child, that she hadn't lost these things that we do as we grow older. And also this wonderfully funny stories that you told us about her, about how she could conjure up things. I know you mentioned some great disaster with, I think my hearing's going, I thought you said Dale Evans. I was thinking of Roy Rogers. I'm speaking to no one else.
Dale Evans.
I know. Have you heard of Dale Evans? You haven't heard of Dale Evans?
Oh, no.
For an ancient like myself, even from England, Dale Evans was, well, she was the wife of Roy Rogers. Her politics were considerably less pleasant, but the program was interesting. Anyway, so you talked about this. Now, this is someone describing, you were describing something that's basically a disaster, where it drives someone else into screaming fits of madness, and you tell this story, and you're laughing, and everyone's laughing. And you said this wonderful thing, about crying and laughing, which is exactly the way one feels. It's exactly the way you feel. You're crying. We had a loss. You've had a terrible loss. But you're laughing because you also have the panoply of the life, which was so full of richness and joy and adventure and laughter. So there is both. And as time goes on, the crying part, it doesn't go away completely. We always have the scars of the loss. But it's not that overwhelming thing that drags us down. It becomes less. What grows are the laughing part, the life, the remembering the life and the joy. So I always try and tell people we should try and learn from, try and bring into our own lives what we see in this person's life. We can't really do it all. I mean, she was so extraordinary, but there are little bits of her life that we can actually make an effort For example, what I mentioned before, when we are racing to do all of life's activities and not notice anything, we might just take a moment to notice that we're not noticing. And so when we're very upset and we're walking down the street and we suddenly hear a bird or see a tree that looks quite lovely, and then boom, if we think it might happen because of thinking of her, we enrich our lives. Maybe that second, that minute, maybe a little longer. If we can do more of that, we can make ourselves feel better and lift our spirits. And that way, just thinking of her will do something for us. There'll be those moments, there'll be other moments. She is, in the physical sense, at peace now. In the Jewish tradition, this is not the end, in the Jewish tradition. So, if whatever world, and it's not a space, it's something else that I can't even describe. If there is some kind of existence afterwards, she is already organizing all kinds of things. The heavenly supply of emojis has multiplied exponentially already. And you can use your imagination for anything else of that kind. But in the sense that we can understand, she's at peace. And of her I say, Tehei nishmata tzurura b'tzror hachayim. May her soul be bound up in the bond of everlasting life. And to her I say, Julie, Lechi b'shalom, gay in freedom, go in peace, Habelech in Gan Eden, may your repose be in paradise. You will never be forgotten. You will never be forgotten. You will always be remembered in love by all the many who knew you and loved you, and those whom you knew and you loved. Amen. And now we have here these little booklets with, if you'll open them, on the left side is the 23rd Psalm. Would you read with me, please? The Lord is my shepherd, together. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He maketh me to lie down in green pastures. He leadeth me beside the still waters. He restoreth my soul. He leadeth me in the paths of righteousness for his name's sake. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for thou art with me. Thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me. Thou preparest a table before me in the presence of mine enemies. Thou anointest my head with oil, my cup runneth over. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I will dwell in the house of the Lord forever. Could I ask you, if you can, to stand, please? Could you please stand? And let me just, I'm going to cut those ribbons, which are a sign of mourning, and then I will say a blessing with you, a bracha. So maybe if you can, thank you. If you can come over here, just be careful, the ground's uneven, because we have people who are watching and maybe we want them to hear what we're going to do. So I'm going to cut this. Well, let me see if I can get it in my hand. Still operational on this, will I? No, I don't think. Better not. Yes. Okay, let me cut a little bit more. Yes, I'm cutting the ribbons now, and we're about to say a bracha, a blessing that we say on these occasions. Do you know Baruch Atah? Yes. Okay, so we're going to say this bracha. It's not in there. It's not in there. You'll have to listen to it. It's not in there. It's the way every blessing begins, Baruch Atah, and there are two words at the end which I will tell you. So, say with me. Baruch
Atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam
Dayan
Dayan
Ha'emet,
Ha'emet.
which means blessed be the true judge. That's what we say in the Supper. Yes, you can go back. Just please remain standing. Hail Malei Rachamim, Shochein Bamromim, Hamsei Menucha Nechona, תחת כנפי השינה, במעלות קדושים וטהורים, כזוהר הרקיע מסעירים. את נשמת ג'ולי בת מקסופל, שהלכה לעולמה בעבור, שאנחנו נודרים לצדקה ביד הזכרת נשמתה. בגן עדן תהי מנוחתה, לכן בעל הרחמים יסתירהו בסתר כנפיו לעולמים. ויצרור לכם את נשמתה. אדוני הוא נחלתה, ותנוח בשלום על משכבה, ונאמר Amen. Passionate God, eternal Spirit of the universe, grant perfect rest in your sheltering presence among the holy and pure, who shine as the brightness of the firmament, under the soul of Julie Richman, the daughter of Pearl and Max, who has entered eternity and in whose memory we offer charity. May her repose be in paradise. O God of mercy, let her find refuge in your eternal presence, and let her soul be bound up in the bond of everlasting life. God is her inheritance. May she rest in peace, and let us say Amen. And now the Mourner's Kaddish, which is on the back page of these booklets. It's in Hebrew letters at the top of the page and in English letters in the middle of the page. I will say it with you. Anyone can join. If you don't join, you can respond, and then you are therefore part of the prayer. One of the responses is very, very simple. When I say Ve'imru, you say Amen. Ve'imru, Amen. This happens several times. Ve'imru is actually the Hebrew for and say. Ve'imru, Amen. Let's begin. Yitgadal ve'yitkadash shemei Rabbah. Bi'alma divra chirutei. Ve'yamlich malchutei. V'chayei chon uv'yomei chon. Uv'chayei dechol beit Yisrael. Ba'gala uv'izman kariv. Ve'imru. Everyone. Amen. Yehei shemei Rabbah. Mevarach le'alam u'lalmei almaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach. V'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnasei. V'yitadar v'yitalev v'yitalal. Shemei dekudsha prichu. Le'ila min kol birchata v'shirata. Tushbechata v'nechemata. Da'amiran bi'alma ve'imru. Amen. Yehi shlama rabbah min shemaya. V'chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael ve'imru. Amen. Oseh shalom bimromav hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu v'al kol Yisrael ve'imru. Everyone, Amen. Shall I put the? Did you give me? No, leave that. Just 1 second. Wait 1 second. Prior to the lowering the casket, later we're going, in Jewish tradition, we put earth on ourselves if we can. We have some special earth here. Jewish people traditionally wanted to be buried in Israel, which obviously is not always possible. So we bring earth here from Israel. This earth comes from Jerusalem, from the Har HaZeitim, the Mount of Olives. There is an ancient sacred cemetery there. This earth is from there. I'm going to sprinkle this on the casket before it is lowered. So in a sense, she will be buried in Israeli earth. You want to sing it? You want to sing Oseh Shalom? Yeah. Okay, we're going to sing Oseh Shalom. The last verse we said. We sang, Oseh Shalom. Oh, I beg your pardon. Sorry.
Thank you, Rabbi. Anybody wants to come in? And we're just going to sing. Oseh Shalom bimromav hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'imeru amen. You want to do that part again? Oseh Shalom bimromav hu ya'aseh shalom Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'imeru amen. Oseh shalom bimromav hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'imeru amen. Oseh shalom bimromav hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'imeru amen.
Without you. You have to take the high part.
We put a full cover on, that's what we're using. We have the friends. We have the shovels now. Thank you. If you want to, I think the family should go first. If you're going to do this, just be careful. You know, there's some snow here. The ground is uneven, so just be careful. Don't go too close. One on one side, one on the other side, but just be very, very careful, please.
It tastes incredible. I made it for you.
Designated dogs. We're gonna cut. Continue, Tim. Maybe a couple more minutes. Right.
Friends, I think this is off. Is it on? Friends,
So,
we,
grab my No, I just want to, yes, people are going to the beach.
yes, no, absolutely. Friends, the service, oh god, this is not good.
Here.
This, is it? Ooh. The service is complete now. The gentlemen from the cemetery are going to use the equipment to push the earth in, but for those who really wish to stay, please do so. But it is cold. We have someone extremely young here, and so I would suggest that you look after your health and.
How can we get out?
You go right here. Where they block that? You can go right here, go to Greenberg Road, make a right, go to
That
Greenberg
car's
Road.
blocking, otherwise we could go to the left.
Yeah, you go to the left.
But that's one of our cars over there.
Whenever two cars pull up, y'all can just make a left to the grass right here.
If there's no graves there, you can go across the grass. Okay. This is the first crossing here. Oh, we're gonna be leaving. Oh, you'll, okay, yeah. But that black, that two-wheel's got a... That's all right, okay. Because otherwise to go through that way is complicated.